Hi there. I'm not sure who's watching right now, uh, but nobody's in the chat. Uh, I just thought I'm out here cleaning the garage again and been thinking about a lot of things on my mind. So I thought maybe I'd just do a live show, if you will. I haven't done one of these in a while. This is unplanned. Not scheduled or anything, so I know I'm probably going to miss out on a lot of viewers. Uh, a lot of my viewers are overseas, and I know it's 8 p.m. here in Arizona, so it's probably like, I don't know, 4 in the morning over there. So I apologize if I haven't posted much lately or anything like that. I've been quite busy at work. I'm doing a lot of thinking about work, a lot of contemplating on what my next move will be, and just busy with holidays coming up. Thanksgiving here in the United States was last week or whatever. So I apologize for not producing more videos. I thought about doing a reaction video today, actually. It was about Wyoming, which is my home state, and it was about why nobody lives in the state. We have the lowest population out of any of the United States, less than 600,000 people, which equates to the area of the state equals like less than 6 people per square mile, which I kind of miss because Buckeye, Arizona is growing exponentially. It's taking me longer and longer to get to work, longer and longer to get home. Even the back roads are getting congested, and it's starting to really drive me crazy. So, uh, oh well. So I've been trying to clean out the garage just because I want to get back into creating things. Besides YouTube videos, I do a lot of woodwork. And if you can see my tool wall back there, hand planes, hand saws, some Japanese hand saws, all my finishing products over there. This, I wonder if I probably can't rotate the camera, can I? Oh, look, I can. So these are all my Japanese saws. They're pull saws, not push saws, if you are familiar with any of that. Some hand planes here, and then some old drills up there. That right up there was my very first license plate I had in Germany when I was in the military. Not hard to pick us out, that's for sure. They stuck out like a sore thumb. Now they get straight European plates, so you're not as noticeable being from the United States. And then that was kind of a fun project I did during COVID-19. I don't know if you can read that or not. I might, bad word in there, so I'll let you just read it. I did that flag right there with my CNC machine. The symbol up there is my emblem from the military, from the CAV, Amino et Fide. So the Blackhawks. I did that on my CNC. That was pretty fun. So that was that. Good morning. Good evening. Yes, good evening for me. Good morning for you. So that's some of the tools I have. But I've been going through, I cleaned out the garage once already, and it's 4 a.m. there. That's what I thought. It's 8 p.m. here, 8-hour time difference puts you at 0400 hours. You are up early. I'm not up that early unless I just couldn't get to sleep. So yeah, I was cleaning out the garage. It doesn't look like it now, but this was clean earlier today. And I had to replace our water heater there. So I figured I might as well clean up the garage. But all these cabinets back here have just been holding junk. And let's see if I can, you have to apologize for the shaky camera footage. So I've been cleaning out these next because they were just kind of getting over full. They're still pretty full, but this one holds all of my photography stuff. So if you didn't know, I'm also a very avid photographer, and I prefer the film. So old school photography. I do digital, obviously, with my phone, and I do have a digital camera that I've done videos with and whatnot. But I prefer using film. I've developed all my own film. I develop pictures or create pictures. This right up here, this black frame right there, is my large format enlarger for making black and white prints. And then I have a lot of crap up there. And then this one here that's more photography equipment there. Just some totes down here at the bottom. I have my computer box from when I built my computer, and then more craft or art stuff there. This one I'm thinking of doing more tools. Up top, I have some of the things I created when I was selling things in a local store. And then down here, just some tools. Down there I got my car cleaning stuff and oil and things like that. And then this one here will be, I have more my woodworking stuff like routers, sanders, belt sander, things like that. And then down here I made this little thing that's got some drawers for some other stuff. And then wood here in the corner. And then that far one over here has some wood as well. But I'm trying to get this organized, so I've made a complete mess out of my once clean garage. Here's one of the things that I have done in the past. It's a bottle opener, no tops beyond this point. Kind of a fun little thing. I also have one that's over there that says drink local, and it's got the outline of Arizona. So drink local, and then the outline of Arizona. I sold a few of these, but I might, I'm going to give one away as a gift, things like that. So what I'm thinking during this live video, I have 8 viewers so far. I don't know how this is going to work. Let me try and, I need to put this on a gimbal or something, so it's kind of hard to do walking around. But I thought maybe I would give some of these away. Now, obviously, I would probably, because of the audience and country laws with contests and stuff, this isn't going to be a contest. So I don't know how. I haven't thought this through at all. I really don't know how to do it, but I'd like to send people some things, just for supporting me on this channel and supporting what I do. I'd like to give back a little bit. So even if that means if I have to charge shipping, I'll give it to you for free. If the shipping isn't too bad, we can do something. So maybe I don't know if any of you out there have an idea, let me know. Moin Nate, Germans. Oops. Text goes away too fast. I don't know what I just did. German time is military time, like in the army. Yes. You guys run off a 24-hour clock, right? Here in the United States, we do a 12-hour clock. So you go, midnight to noon, and then back starting with 1 to midnight. It's a pain in the butt because you have to say AM or PM or whatever if you're European. I know a lot of countries over there, especially Germany, have the 24-hour clock. If you're in the military, you know the 24-hour clock. It's just easier to, 1400 is 2 o'clock. You don't have to say 2 p.m. or anything like that. I don't know. It's just a habit for me. But like I said, if I can give a couple of these away, I only have this one and that one that says drink local with Arizona. I don't know if anybody would want an Arizona bottle opener, but I do have a few of these little slim wallets that I made. So it's like a minimalist wallet. So I have two styles here. I have three that look like this, just elastic bands, and you just put your cards and cash inside there. The elastic helps keeps it shut, so you can have one card in here and it won't fall out. I used one of these for the longest time until Exeter reached out to me and gave me a slim wallet. But then I have this one. It's a darker wood and it has a wide band on it instead of two bands. So I mean, these would be really easy to ship to somebody. If anybody would like them, I have 4 of these. See, I have a handheld bottle opener. Looks like this that I made. This is out of cherry wood, so this is solid cherry. So that would be pretty easy to ship out too. So just a thought, I'm wanting to give back to you guys because you guys have been so supportive of me, especially since I haven't put out a whole lot of content lately. I think one of my last videos was a moto vlog of me just venting the entire way to work about not being paid for being on call, or working over 40 hours a week and not getting compensated for it. And it's just really taking a toll on me mentally, because I'm the type of person that I care deeply about what I do. I don't not do my job, even if that means I'm kind of getting screwed over. It's just not in me not to do my job. You know what I mean? But it's getting more and more difficult for me to care about my job. At this point, I don't care as much, which means it's time to change. When you get to that point where you stop caring about what you're doing, it's time to look at doing something else. It really is. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I do have resumes out there. I do have, I'm actively looking. I've applied to a number of flex jobs, which are, work remotely, which would be ideal for when we want to move. Then I wouldn't have to change jobs. If I can find a job that's a work from anywhere job, just have internet connection and work, maybe certain hours, then I wouldn't have to quit when it was time for us to move back to Germany and find something else. So I've been looking at that, and I want to give a huge shout out to Julia from Austria. Your name's probably pronounced Julia then, if you're from Austria. She reached out to me via email, offering to help any way she could. She's also in HR, and so I think this next week we're gonna meet up over Teams or Skype or whatever, just to kind of talk about what my goals are and my experiences and things like that. So it's just a huge thank you to you, Julia, if you are watching, or if you do happen to watch this. It means the world to me. It really does. And I will give back tenfold. It's amazing that you start these YouTube channels or Facebook pages or even TikTok, and which I don't do, all these number of social media things, and you start off just doing it kind of as a fun thing to do. I mean, some people might have a grand business plan in mind or whatever, but for me, I just started off just kind of wanting to be creative, wanting an outlet, for something, and then to eventually get a community together that supports one another and supports me is just icing on the cake. That's just it from all over the world. I'll have to look again at all the demographics of viewers, but they're worldwide, and it's amazing that we're able to do that now and to be positive, about things like that. So thank you all very much. I don't know what else. I'm not getting a whole lot of cleaning done since I don't want to be walking around with the phone shaking all over the place. But I will pick you up here. I don't know if you've seen, well, it's kind of full of stuff right now since I've been cleaning the garage, but if I throw the paper towels and garbage bags and whatever, here is my motorcycle that I ride once in a while. Really hard to get a good shot here because it's tight quarters in here, but this is the 2021 Z900. It's a Kawasaki, and I wanted the red and black scheme, and they didn't have it in the storeroom, or in the storeroom in the showroom. They didn't have it at the dealer. So are the Twitter files in the garage? Twitter files. I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't do Twitter. I haven't done Twitter in years. I never got the point. I don't have that much important things to say. But if I told you, then it wouldn't be a secret anymore. So I guess take it like that. But anyway, this wasn't at the dealership. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So I knew they had one. At least they said they had one. And so the dealer that I was talking to kept trying to get me on another bike. And I said, look, man, if I'm spending that much money on a bike, I'm going to get the one that I want, right? I'm not going to spend money on the ugly ass white and green. I don't like Kawasaki green, ironically. But they had this one it was like in a warehouse, right? It was the last one. They went and picked it up and they brought it to me. And it was kind of funny because the dealer that I was talking to, when he delivered it, he looked at me, he's like, yeah, now I understand why you wanted this one, because this is sick. So I love it. I took off all the decals because I don't like those extra little decals, and I added some aftermarket things for myself. But that's the bike I'm on when you're seeing me with the moto vlogs. I'm definitely make room for it here in the garage. What else? Here is my CNC. It's actually covered in, well, this box is the old CNC, the old model, and then I got this model. This is a Bob CNC. So it's all made out of wood. All the pieces were laser cut, and then you have to assemble the whole thing. And then I got the extension bed on it. So it's a 4-foot bed by 2-foot. So I can do a full big panel on here. Got the upgraded Makita router on there. It works great. I've used it quite a bit. It's just been sitting here now collecting dust. I'm almost considering getting rid of it. And if I do, it'd be with this entire cabinet that it sits on. I put it on casters so I can lift it up and then wheel it around. But I just haven't used it that much. I actually have it. I don't know if you can see behind here. A Raspberry Pi is what runs it. So this just swings out like that, and I can swing it all the way around. So I can pull this all the way around and then look at it from this angle while I'm operating. And then it's all run off the Raspberry Pi, so I don't have to have a laptop out here. I have a little like a gaming controller, but it's a wireless Bluetooth keyboard that I can operate the thing with. It's pretty slick. But I'm thinking of getting rid of it. What I'd like to get next is a laser cutter. And not one of the big CO2 ones, but something that's just more a hobby, doing laser stuff, because this was done on the CNC. So that's engraved in there. But I could do this same thing with a laser and engrave things like that. Cut out, 3 millimeter, I think up to 5 millimeter wood with it to make um, things, I guess. But it's money, so hopefully at some point after the holidays, I can start saving up and doing that. But I do have quite a bit of wood up there. This is actually like a luggage rack for your garage, but I've used it for lumber. I have some exotic woods over here and 2x4s and whatnot, and then drill and charging station over here. A dresser that came with the house, they just left it here, so I put it in the garage. And then this bench right here, I made at our old house, but it's all put together with like lag bolts, so I can take the thing apart and transport it. So it's a beast. This thing probably weighs 300 pounds. It's all 2x lumber. I don't know if you can see, and then doubled up in places. So that thing is not going anywhere. So that's about it. I'm just trying to clean up out here. I have a headache to just compound things, I guess. Let me put you back up here just so I'm not making everybody sick to their stomach. So thank you to those of you who are joining me. Like I said, this was not planned, but I needed to create something. I felt like just talking out loud, and it feels more comfortable when I'm talking, to a phone anyway, knowing that there's somebody on the other side watching instead of standing out here talking to myself. But maybe that will help things as well. I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for DeWalt 2's German nose. Yeah, got the DeWalt router over. I think that might be the only DeWalt tool I have, as a matter of fact. And that's the little router that came with the first CNC table. That sucker is noisy. Holy smokes. And it's one of those little handheld ones. That Makita is a lot quieter, and I can actually adjust the speed with it. But yeah, I think that DeWalt is the only thing. I have a lot of rigid tools. So like the drills over there are rigid, and then I have a belt sander, handheld belt sander is a rigid, and then Ryobi, a lot of Ryobi tools as well. But yeah, it's one of those things where I did a lot of woodworking for a while, and then just kind of got bored with it, and not bored with it, but in the summertime, give me 1 second. All right, so I have this thermometer in here all the time. And in the summertime, I don't know if you can read that at the bottom there, the highest temperature that it got in here this past summer was 108.3 degrees. That is way too hot to be in here doing anything. I mean, that's hot enough when I go to and grab a tool or something metal that it hurts. It burns my hand. And then, the highest percentage of humidity has been 65 degrees. It's 40% humidity, or 65%. And then the low is 10%, which is super dry. And the low temperature has been 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not insulated in here. The garage door isn't insulated, even though I tried, but that doesn't do a dang thing. It's all sheetrocked already, so for me to insulate the exterior walls, I'd have to get a company in here I think that can punch a hole in and just spray in the insulation and then have to put some in the attic space, which, you know, if we were planning on being here for, you know, if this was our retirement home, if this is where we were just going to be, I would do that. I would definitely invest in that and turn this into another room, really, of the house. But I don't want to really do all that if we're not going to be here for very long. And I say that not knowing at all the time frame. You know, people ask, when are you moving, when are you leaving? And we keep saying, you know, in 2 years or in a couple years. Well, we've been saying that for a couple years now. So I'd like it to be soon, but obviously we have to get our ducks in a row before we just jump ship. If it was me alone, without the responsibility of a family, I'd have been gone. I would have been on a plane a long time ago and then just figured it out. But can't do that all the time. You got to be responsible sometimes. So we're trying to figure out. And on top of that, my brother, who I've only seen twice in my life, him and his wife are moving down here to Phoenix. And this year, actually, they're going to be here next week to do some more on their place. And like I said, I've seen them twice. You know, the first time we met was last year. I knew I had a brother in high school. We're half brothers, so we have different fathers, or different mothers, same father, who, to be perfectly honest, abandoned both his mom and my mom. You know, so I never knew him personally. I have pictures of him and when I was like 2 years old. But anyway, so I knew I had a half brother in high school, and we wrote some letters back and forth, and then kind of drifted apart again. And then since my grandmother does a lot of genealogy, and then I've done the DNA test, a lot of my bloodline is actually, the majority is Scotland. It's like over 30% Scotland area, and then some Irish, you know, so that Great Britain area, England, English, whatever. But then I have another pretty big chunk of Eastern European blood, Eastern, or like Western Russia, Czech, Poland, that sort of thing. Somebody just commented. All right, I appreciate it. Go get some sleep. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, and I didn't know. I was like, well, nobody that I know of is from that side of the world. But then I started thinking, well, I don't know anything about my birth father. And then that guy was adopted. So that side of the family is like a ghost, you know, who knows? I had my suspicions it was his side of the family, but I didn't know anything about it. So my wife one day says, well, have you reached out to Leyland yet, my brother? And I said, no, actually I haven't. So I got on Facebook and just typed in his name, got a hit with a picture. I asked my wife, hey, do we look like we could be related? And she just started laughing. She's like, well, I don't know what your dad looks like, so I don't know. So I just messaged him out of the blue and said, hey, you know, this so-and-so, if, you know, I have a brother with the same name. If you're him, cool. If not, I'm sorry I wasted your time. It ended up being him, you know. So we started texting back and forth, and then they were coming down for a Cardinals game because he's a big Seattle Seahawks fan. And so I won't hold that against him too much. But he came down and we met for the first time. It was great. And we have so much in common. So much in common. But then they said they were moving down here. It's like, holy crap, you know, of all places for us to end up 11 years ago in Phoenix, Arizona, and then for my half brother to move down here as well. It's just crazy. So I can't leave right away because I got to spend some time with him and, you know, make up for some lost time. So But it's still a plan for us to get back over to Germany once our boys figure out what the heck they want to do with their life, and have steady employment and a place of their own or whatever, or they can just stay in this house and we'll we'll move, or they can come with us. That's not out of the question either. But we'll have to figure something out. But I'm itching to go back already. We went back in June and had a lovely time with my wife's family. It was amazing. Every time I go over there, I dread getting on that plane coming home more and more each time. And then, of course, this time my wife and I took our own little vacation within a vacation and spent 3 days in Grindelwald, Switzerland. And that I can just postcard beautiful. I took many pictures and some video, but it just doesn't do it any justice. When you're looking back, you like, that's cool, but you just have to be there. You have to experience it. And another thing I realized was that I didn't take enough video. I want to really capture traveling and exploration and doing things like that. And I took a lot of pictures, but not a whole lot of video that really works in a video style, uh, like a vlog or a cinematic, whatever. But we're planning on doing more hiking here while we're in Arizona. And so I'm going to start capturing footage of that and making little short films of us hiking. One of my goals is to hike the highest point in Arizona, which is Humphreys Peak. I think it's just over 12,000 feet in elevation. I want to do that this spring. But there's a mountain here close by that's called Quartz Peak. It's one of the more prominent peaks here in the valley. Only 4,000 something feet, so no big deal. I say that because I'm from Wyoming, where our hometown elevation sat at almost 5,000 feet. And then I've camped in the Rocky Mountains at 10,000 feet, where trees don't grow anymore and there's a glacier right next to you in July. So those are mountains to me, not 4,000 peak things. Yeah, that's a garbage comment. All right. I don't need a dating app. Sorry, I'm married. So how long we got? 30 minutes or so? Anybody haven't? I know there's not a whole lot of people out there watching right now. But if any of you have any questions or anything, just shoot them my way. I just really wanted to, one, kind of take a break from cleaning a bunch of stuff, and then two, I'll be able to have some content on the page. I have a Discord. If not, I can make. Sorry, the comment disappeared. You're right, Lucas. I mean, even stopping in gas stations on the highway around Switzerland was. I mean, I couldn't believe how unbelievably beautiful it was. I mean, I don't remember the lake that we drove by, but it just went forever, and it was straight out of like a magazine. The color of the water. We stopped in Bern on our way back and walked around and did some sightseeing, and the river that runs through there is just this unnaturally blue aqua color. And I believe, now I could be wrong, if somebody knows please correct me, but I believe it's because of like glacier water, of like higher up in the mountains, and that's why it's that color. I could be way off, but I know that glacier water can be these spectacular blue colors. The Rhine water is not as pretty as anything below Germany. Yeah, the Rhine. I mean, the Rhine is the Rhine. You know what I mean? You have the Rhine River, and that's cool. And I've gone down there. One of the last times we were in Germany and took a little road trip by myself and went down. And but you're right. It's more like it's kind of equivalent of like the Mississippi. It's a big, awesome river, but it's not pretty. You know what I mean? But yeah, the views, no matter where you are. Um, all right, here we go. I do not have a Discord. I don't even know how to use Discord, to be honest with you. I mean, I barely, I barely know how to use YouTube sometimes. But I have heard that Discord or like Twitch are better for live communities, um, things like that. I need to sit down. My head hurts. But yeah, so I don't have a Discord. I don't know how that works. But I mean, if you're willing to help me set one up, I appreciate it. That would be pretty sweet. Is that something that is more live? So YouTube for me isn't, unless you have a big following, or you have an announcement or things like that. YouTube Live doesn't make as much sense as something like Twitch or a Discord or something like that. So, excuse me. Let's see. Funnily enough, maybe. Oh, I mean, if I had one, I would use it. You know what I mean? It's it just seems to be more like Discord, like I was saying, that and Twitch seem to be more. It's like a forum, TeamSpeak. Okay, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I mean, I hear people always talking about it, um, talking about their Discord and things like that. So, I mean, if I could probably spend some time tomorrow and check it out and create an account. I know a buddy of mine that does Twitch a lot. For Twitch to me is like for gamers, right? I mean, obviously there's other people that use it, but that seems to be geared toward gamers. And since I'm not, I've never really used it. I have an account just because I follow some people and I support a good friend of mine. But even that, I think might be useful for live communities and chat and things like that. But I just don't know how, this thing with the chat on my phone kind of sucks, because I see a comment and then I have to, push it and whatever. All right. So your name and then the pound 7808. All right, I'll go back through the comments again and I'll save that. And then when I get it, I'm assuming once you have an account, you can search by username or whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll add you. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I just think things like that are easier for live events, and then YouTube is more the pre-recorded things, if you will. I hope people hear me all right. I don't have an external mic on. I'm just using my phone, so I apologize if you get some background noise of plastic bags or something like that, or if you can't hear me very well. But Mom's been sending Christmas gifts already. These showed up the other day. They got my name on them, but I was like, I didn't order anything. It must have been my mom. Amazon. Funny thing. $1 trillion company, and they can't figure out their crap about delivering efficiently. All right, missed a comment. post them on Discord and ping people, huh? Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. Yeah. I mean, it's always nice to, okay, you can hear me? Hi, Catherine. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Um, it's always nice to have that other outlet, you know what I mean, or another source for you to get more people instead of just the people on YouTube. But if, I used to throw up a video or, my thumbnail on Facebook and let people know that I posted a video, and I got some traffic that way. Mostly it was friends or family that would go watch it, but not too much other than that. But and I think some of my friends and family wouldn't appreciate my video content anyway, if you know what I'm talking about. Um, just different opinions. Discords are all the youngsters. I don't know then. I don't know if I can deal with all the youngsters. I'm old and grumpy and running out of patience. You're good, man. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. It's kind of funny because there's some people at work that, you know, since I'm HR, and I say that loosely because we aren't typical HR. Like, I don't do a whole lot with your. Um, oh, thanks. Nice garage. It would be nicer if it was clean. But we don't deal a whole lot with OSHA or claims. I mean, we do, but that's not directly through me. But I'm more of the employee development manager. So I do all the hiring, I do all the interviewing, I do all that paperwork and stuff like that. So when I'm interviewing, you have to be 21 years old to be able to work for us. And then I get a copy of their driver's license and all that, and then I have to do the date. And I feel older and older every day, every time I see somebody whose birthday is in the 2000. I'm like, holy crap. I was already married, already had a kid, by 2000, 2001. To me, 20 years ago is not 2001 or 2002. 20 years ago to me is still 1980, and that's 40 years ago. So, I saw somewhere where it said that 1980 is the same amount of time away from the 40s as this time right now is from the 80s. And as soon as I read that, I was like, that's just not fair. Because you think of the 40s being eons ago, at least maybe some of us. But 40 years from 1940 to 1980, 40 years from 1980 to 2000. So, or 2020. So, yeah, I have to shake my head. I appreciate and I actually thank or tell the people who were born in the 80s, even. Thank God you're an 80s kid and not a 2000s kid, because I'm done. I'm done with that. My oldest son was born in 1999. And so anytime I see 2000, I'm like, good grief, my son's older than you. You're glad. Start another one in the 80s. Yeah, but you can't go wrong with 80s music, though. I think that was probably one of the best decades for music. Music now, I don't even listen to the radio just because, I just can't. I can't. I can't do today's music. All right, I got a bunch of chats in here. Hold on. It is me, Nate. Yes, 80s and 90s, best years. All right, plenty of older people on Discord too. Born in 84. All right, you're not too bad then. At least it's 80s. 46. Yeah, it gets pretty rough. When I got out of the military and started back in school, going back to college, I was actually I'm probably just like maybe 4 years, within 5 years maybe of my instructor at the time, my art instructor. And so we had more in common than I did with the other students in class, because they were straight out of high school. So we would be talking about something and they would come over or they would overhear us and just look at us like, what are you guys talking about? And we're like, yeah, you wouldn't understand. You're too young. Don't worry about it. But it's kind of funny, to kind of rub it in their face too, that, they're just young people. They don't get it. It really kind of is surprising to me right now because 9/11, it's in the history books now. It's, kids today in school are learning that as a historical event, not a current event. And it's crazy to me to think that that was 20 years ago. Because I was in Germany when that happened, and now the kids these days, they read about in the history books, which kind of blows my mind. I remember when the Challenger exploded. How many of you out there remember that? 1985. It was January 85. I think it was 85. I remember I stayed home from school because I was a huge astronomy nut. Wanted to be an astronaut my whole life, and so I stayed home to watch the launch live on TV, and then, the disaster happened. And I knew immediately, hey, that's not normal. They were trying to play it off as, oh, those are the rocket boosters coming on. Like, nah, that thing just broke up. Whoops. Didn't mean to hide your, I didn't mean to hide your thing. I hit the wrong button. A game dev, you can re-comment again. I hit the wrong button, so it looks like I just deleted your comment, or I didn't mean to. Fat fingers and shaky hands, so I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to push it so I could read it. So if you want to re-comment, yeah, right. Whoa. Making memes, just to cope with things. That is right. Yeah, it was terrible. Uh, I followed NASA like people follow NFL teams, or football teams or whatever, baseball. I had a book like that thick on the space shuttle, and it was almost a blueprint of how to fly the thing. It had fold outs of the cargo areas of the cockpit. I mean, that was my dream. I wanted to be an astronaut so bad. I actually, when I was younger, my dream was to be the first man to walk on Mars. Um, which we're getting closer, but still quite a ways off from that. Lots of conspiracies suddenly become very talked about. I'm not big into conspiracies. I don't. I mean, you can believe what you want, but and you can take any event, any event or moment in history and come up with an alternative theory about it. You know, um, the shooter on the hill or any of these things, you can twist it to the point where people will believe it. Flat earth, or we haven't landed on the moon because of, it was done in Hollywood. You can put so many spins on things that for some people, um, it's believable. I mean, you can spin anything to make it believable. It doesn't make it real. You are absolutely right. Mars could have been achievable a long time ago because we were just starting the space program and landed on the moon within 10 years, within a decade. Yeah, you're right. Military was recruiting people on Twitch. I mean, that was unreal. Just, as a prior Army recruiter, I couldn't fathom doing that. And that's why I'm not in the Army anymore. That's why wasn't a super successful recruiter. I didn't have all the awards and, get 10 people in a month because I told the truth. I wasn't going to lie to them. And I recruited during one of the worst times to be a recruiter, and that was um, during the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. And it was tough already. But, if a kid, and they were kids, asked me if they were going to war, I'd tell them, yeah, yeah, most likely. Now, whether or not you're going to see any action, well, that's kind of determined on what job you pick. But you are probably going to get deployed at some point in your military career if you're entering right now. And so that turned a lot of them off. It turned my superiors off because I wasn't preaching the military is the greatest thing on the planet, lecture. Um, I was still under the hypnosis of being the greatest nation on earth, and our military is number one. That's no denying that. But I just didn't I didn't want those people in the army because I was a scout, because I was in the cavalry, because I was in a combat job. I knew I needed to have people next to me that wanted to be there because then I knew they had my back. You know what I mean? If you have somebody who has no intention on being in the military or doesn't want to be, they don't care. They're not going to protect you. They're not going to take a bullet for you. They're not going to watch your back. So why am I going to put those kids in the military that don't want to be there? It's just stupid. It's just defeating the whole purpose. Yeah, they want bodies. That's all they want. They want bodies. They want warm bodies in the seats and manning the guns, and it's just a number. It's a numbers game. That's it's all it's ever been. It's all it ever will be to the superiors. um, just numbers. But I wasn't going to play that. I told them the truth. I told them what I used to do in the military. If they enjoyed it, if the way I looked at it, they knew where my recruiting office was. If they wanted to join, they could come talk to me. I was not going to go out and try to convince an 18-year-old to join the military because they weren't going to last. I served with people like that. I served with a guy in Germany. My first duty station, he was in for 2 years, got out because he didn't want to be there. The recruiters are very good salesmen and sales ladies, and they'll tell you anything you want to hear. Mine did, and got me hook, line, and sinker. But I was able to actually look beyond that once I served for a couple years and realize what it was really like, and then adapt to that. And then it was okay. It was better. But my first 2 years in the army were probably some of the worst 2 years of my life. Yeah, I may have. I don't know. I've never thought of it like that. But I couldn't bring myself to lie to him. See, now that's the other thing. Okay. Definitely recommend a Discord over Twitch. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, so telling somebody that they couldn't do it, right? So the first kid that I put in the army was this gung ho, guns a blazing, wannabe SWAT team, super GI Joe guy that thought he was all that because he watched a bunch of TV shows and movies. Um, but come right down to it, he was, and I don't mean this derogatory in a derogatory way, but a mama's boy, that type of person where he talked big, but if it came down to action, he couldn't do it. And so he joined, and I had to take him down to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which was a 90-minute drive from where I lived. And so I had to leave at like 3 in the morning to get him down there before his flight took off because he was shipping off to basic training. And so I get down there. Well, I took him down the night before, and that was my first mistake because then he had time in his hotel room to sit and to think and to call mom. And mom convinced him not to go. So I got a phone call the next morning from him. And I said, "What the heck are you doing? You should be on a plane by now." And he's like, "I decided not to go." And I just lost my shit. I just went off. And then I hang up, and my first sergeant called, and he's just blowing me up. He made me drive 90 miles to go down there to make him get on that plane. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not making anybody get on the plane. I'll talk to him. Um, but I'm not gonna make him get on the plane. So I got down there and I talked to the kid. I said, "Look, man, this you can do this, whatever." No, he flat out refused. So at that point, he's not my responsibility anymore because he failed to get on that plane. So he was no longer a recruit, which meant I was not going to give him a ride in the government vehicle. So I told him, "Well, I hope you can call your mom, find a ride, because I'm out. See ya." So I left him in Pittsburgh. A friend of his, actually, and a friend of his that I was concerned about, because he had that life, a rough growing up, not wealthy, um, low class, not even middle class, um, just not going anywhere, right? And he wanted to join, but then he called me one night, and he was getting cold feet. But what he said was that his friends and family and everybody was telling him that he wasn't going to make it, that he couldn't do it, that he wasn't going to graduate, that he couldn't handle the military, and blah, blah, blah. And so I sat there on the phone with this kid for probably at least an hour and a half, close to 2 hours. I was pacing around outside my house. Um, and I told him, "All right, first of all, if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm doing it. I'm going to prove them wrong. Because I don't, you don't tell me what I can and can't do, right?" Um, good grief. So I told him, "Look, for me, if somebody's saying, 'Oh, you can't do that, you can't handle that,' I'm strapping on the boots, and I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to succeed just to prove you wrong. For no other reason, just you're wrong." And it might not be the best way to go about it. I understand that. But I told him, "Look, if people are telling you you can't do it, do it. Show them. Show them you can do this." And I was kind of trying to convince him, but on the other hand, just giving him words of encouragement. I knew he could do it. He wasn't a dumb kid. He wasn't a weak kid, physically. He was a solid guy. And I knew in my heart that the military was something that he needed at that time in his life. Because believe it or not, whether we want to like it or not, the military has helped a lot of people. It helped me. It helped me realize um, what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do. It taught me leadership. It taught me teamwork. It taught me discipline. So the military isn't all bad. And I know I talk a lot of shit about the military, but it's not all bad. Um, And I knew for this kid, he needed something like this in his life. He needed that structure, that brotherhood, that community, that family. And so I was trying to convince him, but I was also just kind of pumping him up, saying, "Hey, do this. You can do this. Prove them wrong, and let's see you succeed." So he ended up shipping. He went to basic training. I didn't hear from him after he was done with basic training. Um, but I was sitting in my office one day and I get a phone call. And unfortunately, I don't remember this kid's name. I wish I did. But he was on the other end of the line. I said, "Holy cow! How are things going? What happened?" He's like, "Well, he went to Freiburg, I believe. It was pretty close to where I was. Anyway, he was stationed over there. That was his first duty station." And I thought, "Holy crap, dude." And he was calling me to thank me for making him do it. And I told him, "Hold up. I didn't make you do anything. I was there to support you, to answer questions, to be a mentor or a guide or whatever. You did this. You made the decision. You went through basic training, not me. You graduated basic training, not me. You got sent to Germany. You're in a, so don't thank me. Thank you. You know what I mean? Look in the mirror and say that you did this. I didn't do anything. I was just there to support you in whatever you decided to do." But that moment right there, it gives me goosebumps talking about it, because that that moment right there made the entire 3 years of recruiting worth it. Just knowing I helped one kid. And it may sound selfish or egotistical or whatever, but that's what I thrive on. If I can help one person, then whatever I've done has been worth it. If I can inspire one kid to um, lead a better life, or to uh, make the right decision at some point, then it's all been worth it. It's all been worth it. All the pain, all the tears, it's been worth it. And I think that's why I gravitated a lot toward teaching. I went to school to be a teacher. My dad was a teacher. My mom was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My grandma was on the school board. And I've just gravitated toward teaching to help others learn things, or to be a mentor or a guide or something like that. And I remember being a substitute teacher back home in Wyoming for my mom in some of her art classes. And I would just go visit her once in a while in the school, because I mean, when you grow up in a family that's been teachers their whole lives, everybody already knows who you are. When you go through school, it's like I couldn't get away with nothing, because I show up in class and they're like, "Oh, you're Mary's son." I'm like, "Ugh." I was like, "All right." Not that I was trying to get away with anything, because I was a pretty good student anyway, um, but I would go back and visit my mom just for lunch or whatever. And the thing that just it made me smile for hours afterwards was when I'd be walking down the hall and a kid would come up. And these are junior high kids. So these are kids that are confused. I'll put it like, you know what I mean? Junior high is one of those grades. It's like you're not quite mature, but you're a little more mature than the grade school. You're trying to figure out your identity. It's a weird time in everybody's life, junior high. But they would come up and ask, "Are you going to sub for us again today? Or when are you coming back? I want you to be our teacher." And it just made me smile from ear to ear for the rest of the day, because it was like I'm touching somebody. If I can inspire this 13-year-old to want to come back to school, I've done my job. Even in high school, I was a sub for, I think he was the girls volleyball coach, but he was also a history teacher, and I love history. So I was like, "Yeah, I get to sub 2 days in a history class." Unfortunately, teachers don't treat subs with a lot of respect sometimes, so they won't allow you to teach. They want you to just put on a video and sit back for an hour. You know what I mean? And that's not me. So all your favorite teachers were history teachers? Yeah, I wasn't big into history when I was in school. But once I got out, I think the military helped and traveling the world helped that part. But yeah, definitely I'd love to teach history. And so he had a video planned out. So I took probably the first half of the first day of class and just decided to talk to the kids, just to spark a conversation about something. I don't remember what the lesson was over, but I knew enough about it that I didn't have to read, anything. And I just started talking to them. I talked to them like human beings about, that I was prior military, that I got to travel the world, that I got to experience history. Um, and I could immediately tell that they just became engaged. It wasn't most of the time, not most of the time, but a lot of times, when kids know that there's going to be a substitute teacher, they tend to act out. They aren't the best behaved because they think they can get away with it. But for me, my style is to immediately engage with them, get their attention, and then they don't have time to goof off or do whatever, right? So I did that first class, and then I had to take it another day. Yeah, I couldn't even pick like what part of history I'd want to teach, or um sad to say, but probably not US history. Even though a lot of that is pretty fascinating. World history is more exciting to me. European history is more exciting to me, or like ancient history. Um, yeah, you're right, and it's unfortunate, especially even now. Roman. All right. You know what? My favorite history class was an AP class, which, if you don't know what that means, is like a what's the word? Like an honors class. It was an extra. It was worth extra credit, extra points, whatever. It was Russian history, and I just absolutely loved that class. And I think most of that was because of the teacher, because he made it fun. He was a good guy. He made it interesting. Yeah, that was my favorite history class. But um, in this class that I was teaching for, the next day I'm walking through the school, and one of the girls that was in the class is walking toward me, and she said, "Are you going to be our sub today?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Yes." I just kind of laughed inside. I thought, wow, I she was excited to have me as the teacher, you know. And that's what it comes down to. It's not just teaching, it's your work, it's your um Egyptian history. There's some history where, I mean, I'll watch a documentary, and I find that interesting and cool, but to s- study it like deep, I don't know. World War One is one of my favorite. It's terrible to say that a war is your favorite, but there were so many firsts in World War One. So many things that happened for the first time. First aerial photography, first aerial combat. World War One is not taught, at least here where I was, like World War Two. And I feel like that's kind of a shame, but um, yeah, it was just they had the old ways, but it was such on the cutting edge of new ideas, new ways of thinking, new technology, new, Sabaton, to completely segue into music, is probably my favorite group now, just because they sing about history. And Right. Yeah, you're pretty much right. Um, but yes, Sabaton. Speaking of like World War One, what I think it was World War One. The Night Witches, the Russian female pilots that got the secondhand biplanes, and they were made out of cloth because they were more like trainer planes than combat planes. But the way that they ended up striking the German forces was it was genius. Um, to cut the engine and coast silent and drop the bombs and then turn it back on. And I mean, things like that just are like, what? And then it would do multiple bombing runs in the same night. A lot of times you go out, you do your run, you come back, and then you go to sleep. They would come back, refill, rearm, and go right back out 2, 3, 4 times a night. So it's those little stories that just I know you can't teach all of it. There's just not enough time to do it, but I think I mentioned in one of my other videos though, that I got different history classes than you guys overseas. Um, the Holocaust was taught different for us than it probably was for Germans. Um, World War II, same thing. World War One, the same thing. Um, so it's you get this one-sided view of things. You get a biased view of things. Yeah, it does not get enough awareness. My wife even asked, why did World War One even start? I'm like, well, let me tell you. It was Franz Ferdinand got assassinated, and then there you go. Uh, and then you have allies that are threatened. If you don't fight for us, then you're against us, and then all hell breaks loose. So it doesn't. It's hard to look at history with an unbiased eye. And I think, Sabaton, going back to the music thing, I think they do a really good job of doing that because they don't pick sides. There's no good guy, bad guy. It's a factual based story. You know, the one song, No Bullets Fly, I cry like a baby every time I watch it just because of the story behind it and the fact there's so much untold history. Oh, definitely. Um, so much untold history that somebody knows about. They're just not talking. And there's so much to discover still. It's the 21st century. It's almost 2023, and we still haven't discovered everything. I don't think we ever will. Um, there's just no way. I mean, think of the oceans. How much of that have we explored? I think we've explored more of the moon than we have of the oceans. You imagine we know less than. Oh yeah, definitely. We haven't even scratched the surface. I don't. But one of those things, not to get on a religious rant, but I kind of want to believe that when we die, all these secrets become known. You know what I mean? That we will know those conspiracies. We will know who did it. We will know who built the pyramids and how. We will know who you know did the crop circles. I mean, half of those have already been determined, a farmer or whatever, but you know what I mean? Those big mysteries of the universe. I think that when we move on out of this body, we we will know. I can't imagine going eternity without knowing 100% uh, if there's aliens, or you know what I mean. I don't know, ghosts and whatnot. I feel like that we'll figure that out once it's time. Or maybe we'll figure it out at some point, but I think the universe works in, a very meticulous way, and you will not know before it's time for you to know. You will not, um, for me personally in my personal life, I won't get that next job until the time is right. The universe works like that. When I'm mature enough to understand, or when the time is right for me to take on that next step, it'll present itself. And it's taken me years and years and years to come to grips with that. Because I fell into that trap of, oh, poor me. So and so's got it so much better than I do, and why do they get all the breaks and I don't? When I started thinking more about it, I was like, well, it's not my time yet. My time will come when it's my time. We're all on our own path. We're all on our own timeline. And we could start at the same time, but we're not going to finish at the same time. And we're not going to take the same path. And so once I realized that, it became a lot easier for me to swallow the hardships in my life, because I figured I'm at this point right now in time based on decisions I made in the past. And that has put me and led me right here. So I just have to be sure, or be aware of the decisions I make from this point, uh, to go where I want to go in the future. I don't want to make all the wrong choices where 10 years down the road, I'm like, why am I here when I wanted to go there? Well, I need to be conscious of those decisions now. Um, it's I could go for forever on things like that. It's just so interesting. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I definitely hope she's getting a kick out of watching what happened as well. But my apologies. I'm sorry to hear that. Must be 1,000 World War II games for every one World War I game. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. And I think if some of these games were, like, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know. Maybe they are, but I hope they are not too fictitious. You know what I mean? Because I hope that they aren't so out in left field that younger kids or generations are gonna grow up thinking that was real. But if done right, it could be a very good tool for learning. A lot of people put down gaming and gamers, but I feel like I don't do it. That doesn't mean you don't get some benefit out of it. Hand-eye coordination, problem solving, solving puzzles. There's so many things you can get out of gaming, that are positive, that people don't see because they either don't understand gaming, or they don't um, enjoy it themselves, or they just don't like it, so they think it's all bad. I don't know. Coming up on 80 minutes, so I might be signing off. Yeah, there you go. It can inspire further research. Because if you're playing one thing and it stops at a certain point, you want to know more about it. Yeah, I can see that. I agree with that. Um, yeah, it's 9:24 p.m. It's been a treat. Thank you so much for joining me today, this evening, this morning, wherever you are. And I really do appreciate all your support, kind thoughts, kind words. It doesn't go unnoticed. Uh, it's been mentally taxing, put it that way, to say the least. And I'm pushing through. I'm staying as positive as I can. I got a loving and supportive family, and you know, we're both kind of fed up with our jobs. My wife's a teacher, preschool, and she's tired of being disrespected, being told she's stupid by a 3-year-old. Um, I mean, it sounds funny, but I do not have that kind of patience. Um, you didn't distract me at all from clean. Maybe I use this as my excuse not to clean the garage, but I got all day tomorrow. Um, Throw some tunes back on, and maybe I'll just chuck it all back in the closet so I can shut the doors and not look at it anymore. That's how we, excuse me, that's how we clean it, right? Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into this Discord. I might go do that as soon as I stop this video. One question though, if you're still around, is it pretty easy to use on a mobile device? You know, so I don't have to sit in front of my computer and do it. That's what I feel like is hard right now, because anybody that comments, I have to tap it and um, go read it. Whereas on a computer, I can have that on the sidebar and I can kind of pay attention at the same time. So um, it's kind of the only thing that's kind of a bummer with this way. All right. Good night, Catherine. I appreciate you stopping by again. I really, really, really do. And I hope you have a wonderful morning and day over there in Deutschland. And I will hopefully get some sleep if I stop drinking the Red Bull. There's an app for it. There's an app for that. That's even better. There's an app for this too, but the stupid comment thing, your comments aren't stupid, but it's the thing, you know, it's kind of a pain in the neck. All right, so I think I will call it a night because I really don't want to look at this mess in here anymore. It's just, I mean, look at that. It's just everywhere. I got it everywhere. I was doing so good with keeping it clean, but you know, I've actually found some things. Like, check out these old mailbox doors, right? So I'm gonna make a couple custom boxes. I have that one, and I have this one. I'm gonna make a couple custom boxes and maybe like a bank or something. I don't know. Thank you so much. I will definitely look back at the chat and get your username again, and look you up as soon as I get on there. Again, I'm complete newbie when it comes to Discord. So I know I've heard of it, right? And I've seen videos where they talk about it, but I never went and figured it out. So we'll figure it out. And I appreciate the offer for helping. I really do. Um, but oh, that's cool. Yeah, my mom found these um, somewhere, and I mean, it's a good thing the back's open because I forgot what the password is or the code, but I can look at the back when I do it to figure it out, and then I'll have to write it down. But yeah, they're really cool. I mean, they're solid, you know. Don't make them like they used to, right? But yeah, I got all sorts of stuff that I'm trying to get rid of again. You know, I mean, maybe I'll do something not a contest, but just, like the first however many people want something like this, I'll just send you one. Because I'm not going to use 3 of them. But so yeah, all right. I appreciate all of you hanging out for the last 80 minutes, 85 minutes. Talks from my garage. Hey, that might be a good idea. I've thought about doing, I guess I'm not leaving anytime soon. I've thought about doing a different style channel, like um like for when my wife and I go on hikes and stuff. Because I've kind of already saved the username of It's Always an Adventure. Because when we travel, we end up um, doing something or getting lost or not finding where it's always an adventure, right? That's just what we've always said from the time we were dating, going on little day trips to castles in Germany. It's always an adventure. So I've kind of already coined, I didn't coin that term, but I don't know, want to start some channel just based on adventure and travel and stuff like that. But I don't know that that's needed. I know that this channel really has turned more into a reaction channel, which I really had no intention of doing, to be perfectly honest with you. I knew that that was an easy way to get some content out there, a quick way. I'm sitting on the bike. But it wasn't my intention to do that only. And then it just took off. I mean, that one video that I did about the difference between, well, I've done a number of them, but you'll know which one I'm talking about. It's almost hit 1 million views. And that just blows my mind. Never in a million years did I think that would take off. So I don't want to, I want to continue doing that because I think it's fun and I think people get some useful information out of it. And I know I like watching people react to differences of things or, whatnot. And apparently you guys enjoy that as well. So I'll keep doing that, but I don't want to just do that. And I'm not the filmmaker as some of these people are. So I know I could be with practice, but so I don't know. I don't know if I'll continue with one channel or create a more than one channel. Oh, thank you. I'm a good storyteller. Yeah, I could just use this channel, but I'll have to go back through this video, this live one, to the shorts are something that I'd like to do more of, just because they're short, right? You don't have to take a whole lot of time to do it, but I never feel like I have anything important enough to say for a short, and I watch a few and I'm like, I mean, that's so easy, but I never feel like I have anything worthy enough to put out there in a short or in a full-length video sometimes, to be honest. But I'll have to check out some of what I've talked about now, and maybe I can create little shorts. So the European reactions to the American healthcare costs. Yeah, that was a good one, right? These people, I have no words sometimes. I just, they're so ignorant or just blind. They just don't want to be wrong. They don't want to admit that they've been wrong their entire life. They don't want to admit that they've been lied to. And so they're going to hang on for dear life to this myth of socialized healthcare or, centralized healthcare or whatever is bad. They're going to hang on to that and kick and scream until they're blue in the face, but whatever. Right? Whatever. So, yeah, I'll look into doing more, 60 seconds. That can take some work. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I always think about things too when in the most inopportune times. when I'm either already busy doing something, or I can't get my phone out, or it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You always think of your grand ideas at the most inopportune times. But I'll work on it, and I've thought about doing a couple things at work, but um, work's work. You don't want to see work. I don't know. All right, I really need to go. Rookie and someone don't want to say something 3.5 minutes. Okay. I have to at least try and figure something out. I mean, people keep showing up and leaving. I feel bad by taking off because you guys are still sticking around, and I don't want to be the first one to leave. I know that's how it works, but let's see. Oh, all right. Well, it sounded more and more like Discord is the place to be, or having a Discord server. I forgot what it's called. It's a game. It's a yard game. Was it Viking chess? Cube, right? Cube. Have you heard of that? Here's the set. So you have the king, right? And then you have all these pieces. That it's 2 teams, or you can play 1-on-1. But then you have it staked out. It's a big rectangular area, and then you take turns throwing these batons, and you have to hit these. You have to knock these over first, and then the king is set in the middle, and then once you knock all of these over, you try and knock the king over. That probably didn't make any sense whatsoever, but I made that as well. Got a little bottle cap beer opener on there too, because you can't go out and play yard games without drinking a beer. All right, I got to go. So thank you again for being with me. Thank you again for your support. Thanks for helping me out with the Discord server. I will go check that out, and I will be in touch. I'm kind of excited to try something new. Peace. Oh, see, there you go. I mean, see, like ideas like that, I don't think of it as an idea for a short, but then when you say that, it makes perfect sense. Like I could have it set up, and just short clips of brilliant. See, I mean, that's why you guys are here, right? To help me out, to show me the obvious and things that I don't always see, and I really appreciate it. I will look for more ideas, because I really would like to put out more shorts, like not maybe daily, but at least every couple days, just to keep the momentum going, because I feel like I've abandoned a lot of you guys for not being out on YouTube for the last almost a month. I feel terrible. So yeah, I will put something together. We'll figure it out. But until I do, thanks again for everything. For everything you guys have helped me with, even just listening to me. I appreciate that. You don't have to comment or anything like that, but just for being there is enough sometimes, And so I really do appreciate it. And well, y'all have a good night or good morning, good Sunday to you, good Sonntag, and I will thank you. Thank you very much. Um, I will talk to you in the next one. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. How do I stop? Just the X? All right. See ya. Thank you.